I'm so excited about today's Radio Chatter podcast. Kenny Aronoff is a drumming legend. This guy has played on records that have sold more than 300 million copies, okay? You've heard him on Jack and Diane, on Cinderella Records. We could sit here and talk about bands he's played with all day, but he's got some great stories today, talking about Kid Rock, talking about Bob Seger, even playing in front of Putin as the Hired Gun film sets to debut on June 29th in select theaters across the country.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
This is Radio Chatter with WRIF's own Meltdown.
This is a fun conversation with drumming legend Kenny Aronoff today. And like I said in the intro, man, this guy could tell stories for days. He's played with virtually everybody. I mean, just when you think you found someone he hasn't played with, oh yeah, that's right, I did play with him back in 1992 or something like that. Anyways, he's got some killer stories. And of course, they're pushing this new movie called Hired Gun, which is like a film/documentary, which comes out on June 29th in select theaters across the country. And pretty much what a hired gun is a guy or a girl who's hired to play and back up these famous musicians. Everybody from Pink to Alice Cooper to even Hilary Duff. Jason Hook from Five Finger Death Punch kind of put this whole thing together and produced it. And he played for Hilary Duff, if you could believe that, back in the day, and some other bands as a hired gun. Sometimes they do session work. Kenny Aronoff has played session work for, just a multitude of bands. Like I said in the intro, his drums are on records that have sold more than 300 million copies, if you can wrap your head around that. He's played live in concert behind everybody from Kid Rock to, you name it. The list is just endless as far as who's this guy played with. Put out a book last year called Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. He talks about his new book that he's writing. We've got some really cool stories, especially if you're a Detroiter or a fan of Kid Rock, Bob Seger, stuff like that. I don't know what else to say about the guy. It was a fun conversation. I hope you'll enjoy this as much as I enjoyed talking to Kenny Aronoff today on Radio Chatter. He called in, and here's what it sounded like. This is Kenny.
No, it's Bob Seger, man. I'm calling to talk about Kenny Aronoff. Maybe it's Kid Rock.
There you go.
Maybe Don was.
Don was. I bumped into all these guys here in the station once or twice. So
I know. Iggy Pop, too. How about that?
Yeah, speaking of Kid Rock, I was at his house about a month ago, and I brought your name up, and we had to watch all sorts of videos of you and him playing drums.
Was that his idea? I hope so.
Yeah, of course. I said, I started talking about the Hired Gun movie, and I'm like, yeah, Kenny Aronoff's in all that. Oh, man, that guy. I said, how good is that guy? And he looked at me like I had just said something bad in, Spanish or something. He's like, please. He started studying people. Now, you play with them where at the Kennedy Honors shows, right?
Yeah, I did. I think we did Ramble On when they honored Led Zeppelin. And then, we did a couple other times there. I think he may have been involved with something where we honored the service by. I might be wrong, but I think we honored the service of. Yeah, it was Bush. Exactly. It was Bush Senior, but Bush Junior was there. Our president for 8 years. Well, both were presidents.
Right.
And then Carter and Clinton. It's a great. I didn't put it in my autobiography, but it's a great story. Well, first of all, what's related to Kid went right up to him. George W. said, and it was something to do with a charity. Oh, he wanted to bring some more. He wanted to do something good for Detroit, and it might have had something to do with, the workers, the car business. I don't know, it was something. But I remember Kid Rock went up to him, and said something, and Bush had a really funny response. I don't want to be quoted wrong, but it was really funny, and he and I died laughing, and we were and the after party. We went to this hotel, and the laws in Washington, D.C. are very strict. When it's 1 o'clock, man, the bar shuts down. There's no liquor. So right in front of Kid Rock, I went to the guy and said, well, I'll buy a glass for $100. Well, no, I said, hey, listen, dude, I'll buy a bottle for $1,000. You could put it in your pocket, just give me a bottle of wine. He went, nope, can't do it. I went, holy shit, man. I said, this amazing city. Kid Rock gave me his key and said, go to my room and bring him whoever you want. I'll be up there in a sec. And I went up there, and then eventually Jamie Johnson, when he was still drinking, brought up like 3 different versions of moonshine. And Kid Rock stood up, and I stood on the balcony smoking a cigar, talking about Bob Seger until like 5 in the morning, and I was starting to see triple, and it was great.
Well, I've had a few of those nights. As a matter of fact, that night with him about a month ago, I was by his house. I texted him. I'm like, hey, you around? He's like, yeah, sure, come on by. So I went to his house, and he was telling me at the Kennedy Honors, someone said to him, you can't go on stage with a T-shirt on. And he says, no, you can't, but I can.
That is so cool. That guy is the coolest mofo in the world. I love that guy. He said, you're right. That's so classic. That's right. You can't, but I can. I love it. Yeah, I met his mom even.
Sure.
Yeah, he brought his mom there. And then we did something else together there at the Kennedy Center. It was badass. I love hanging with that guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've known him for almost 20 years, and man, a really good dude. But hey, listen, real fast, just a simple question: who has more pairs of glasses, you or Paul Schaefer?
Probably Paul. But, yeah, he probably does. His paycheck was better than mine. But dude, people think one time when I was doing the Letterman show, because I used to fill in, for
Anton
Fig.
Yeah.
And one time I was doing a show, and I have an identical twin brother, and I told him, and he lives in Massachusetts, and you got to come down on the show. Well, okay. And I said, man, I already had my head shaved. I said, dude, you got to shave your head, man. You look stupid with that little bit of hair on your head. He says, well, just buzz it down. I said, I'll buzz it down to like the shortest amount. So I had the buzzer on, and no shit, the end of it came off. The clipper, 1/8 inch or whatever it was, snapped off, and I buzzed, like a big line up the back of his head. What'd you effing do, man? I said, oh, shit, the thing came off. I said, you're going to have to shave your head. So he shaved his head. He said, I can't believe this. My patients, I'm a psychiatrist. I can't, because they're going to think you're cool. And I said, we're walking down to the Letterman show, and of all things, Paul Schaefer was walking on the street too. Now the 3 of us together, and a crowd of people. But look at us, we all wore glasses, and we looked like triplets. It was hilarious.
That is funny.
Hilarious.
Man, you got tons of stories. I mean, playing with all these bands and everything. I mean, and of course your book came out. I guess you got another one coming out next year?
Yeah, I got another one coming out next year. It's going to be badass. That's the one that's... the lazy, entitled people are going to hate me because I'm like up their ass. It's basically about the method that I looked at the book I wrote and I thought, well, how do I do this? I came up with 7 ways to rock your life and career, and I do speaking again. I just was in Detroit doing one at the downtown Motor City Casino for a Real Estate One Corporation. I spoke in front of like about 800 people. They were the coolest. Anyway, I had this thing, and then I thought, well, why did I even work so hard? Why was I practicing 8 hours a day the day I graduated high school? And then I came up with I was afraid to fail. I was afraid of embarrassment. I was afraid of failure. And it felt like if I didn't succeed, I'd die. So I came up with this whole thing. Are you living your life loud, or are you dying on the vine? Mm. And now documentary's being filmed. It's not going to be about drumming. It's about me. But you could be anything. You could be a Marine. You could be an athlete. You could be a housewife. It's about living your life at the best level, the highest level that you can, so you get the most value out of your life. And now not everybody is just as hyper and as motivated as I am, but I'm saying it doesn't matter. You just have to do the best that you can at wherever you're at. And if you're not, you're letting yourself down, and you're letting everybody around you down. And now, do you really want to live your life as that? And I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
No, you're preaching to the choir. I'm a guy that I graduated near the bottom of my class in high school, never spent a day in college. I'm in my 27th year on the radio. Now I'm, doing afternoons in Detroit. So it's like, I know, it's like someone told me a long time ago, the cream always rises to the top. And I'm like, you know what? He's right. And I got to be the best I can every single day. So.
Thank you. Well, that's a good example. That's a great example. You know, not everybody. You didn't go to college. You weren't born into a rich family that could get their kids and into Harvard and Yale, all that stuff. You did it anyway.
Right.
That's the whole point. You did it anyway. You made it happen. Listen, my story is I saw the Beatles when I was 11 years old on TV, the Ed Sullivan Show. I could change America. And I looked at my mom. I said, Ma, I want to play the Beatles. Call them up. Well, that didn't happen. But so I started my own band. And, a couple of weeks later, and I could only afford a cymbal, a serum, and I played Beatles songs. Well, 50 years later, I'm playing in L.A. for a show that's honoring the Beatles for that show, and I'm playing with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. So 50 years later, my dreams come true. But the point is, they didn't come true by accident. I made them come true by working my ass off, staying relevant, and 50 years later, still being at the top of the game. I got the call.
Yep.
That's an example of I made it happen. It wasn't luck. There's no luck in it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the saying, which I like to live my life by. It's only impossible until it happens, right?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I got one, too. It's like, I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be as great as I can be.
Right.
Running back in football, man. They don't score touchdowns every time, but they keep trying.
That's right. Yeah. The batters don't hit home runs every day. I hear you, man. You guys got to keep plugging away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
I'm digging I'm more passionate about where I'm going, and I love where I am.
And you've done so many things.
30 million records sold, I played on.
Yeah.
30 million records sold. 1,300 gold, platinum, diamond records, and I'm still kicking ass.
That's awesome. Yeah, you tell me the Beatles story. It's so funny because Frankie Bonelli from Quiet Riot told me almost the exact same story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where Dad, I think, who else told me? I've heard that from a few other rockers, too, that day watching the Beatles really changed their life.
Well, there was nothing to watch on TV. I mean, we had a black and white TV with the RCA TV with the rabbit ears and tinfoil on the end. Maybe you got two channels.
Yeah. So
me and my brother, we were always outside, and my sister playing. So to see something like that on TV, there was no video games. There was nothing to watch on TV. So that was huge. That was like a bomb went off, and it was like huge.
Yeah. Now the movie's coming out, Hired Gun. It comes out on June 28th, playing in 400 theaters. I talked to Rudy Sarzo last week.
29.
June 29th. What did I say? 24th. I'm sorry. Yeah, June 29th. I got it written down here. Can't read my own handwriting, I guess. But I talked to Rudy Sarzo last week, and I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you a question. Ask the same question. How come you've always been like kind of a hired gun and never really gotten a band situation for any real length of time?
Well, I mean, you mean where I was like like I was getting. I mean, well, let's put it this way. In the Mellencamp band, it was a band. So I felt like it was my band, but it really was John's band because, he made all the money and I was on salary.
Right.
It was kind of a band vibe. I guess, I'm, in a sense, I'm a hired gun, but way up the ladder of a hired gun as opposed to, like, I was there. It was a band, but I guess I was a hired gun. I'm in a band now that it's called Supersonic Blues Machine, which features badass guitar players like, Billy Gibbons, Steve Lukather, Warren Haynes, Robin Ford, on and on, Eric Gales. And it's my band. I'm one of the three owners of it. But I never did a solo record, and people are knocking on the door right now for me to do one. It never was my desire to have my own solo record, my own solo career. I was having too much fun walking. I mean, I literally walked out of. This is in 1991. I walked out of 2 weeks of recording with Bon Jovi, Blaze of Glory. Next 2 days, I'm recording with Elton John. Next week, I'm recording with Bob Seger. Then I fly to Athens, Georgia to do the Indigo Girls. Then I fly back to L.A. and do more Bob Seger, then off to Willie Nelson. I mean, that was one example of my lifestyle back then. So to start my own band, it's like, why try to be the rock star when I can play with all the other rock stars?
Yeah.
But all those people listen. If you want to put me on a salary for $1 million a year, I'll be your bitch boy drummer. No problem. I'll wear a dress. I'll wear no underwear. I don't really care. It's all right. I'm telling you.
Hey, speaking of that band you're in, by the way, the Supersonic Blues Machine, you guys are coming to town in Detroit playing Callahan's on July 13th.
Yeah. No, yes, it's July 13th. You're right.
Yeah, now that's the day after Metallica. So if I'm functional, I'm going to try to come up and see you play.
Look, you come on up. You can be cross-eyed. Just don't vomit on my drums.
Fair enough.
You can vomit on me, not the drums. It's a rental.
Now,
that's awesome, man. We're playing. Is it Auburn Heights? Is that where it is?
Auburn Hills. Yeah, Auburn Hills.
Auburn Hills. Yeah, man, I know Detroit so well. I love Detroit. And yeah. I've met so many amazing, beautiful people there. And, it's just, I love Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit is such a vibrant music scene, too. I mean, when I got here, I've talked about this before, it was pretty much, like Nugent and Seger and Alice Cooper and stuff. But since I've been here for the last almost 22 years, I mean, you got the M&Ms and the White Stripes and the Kid Rocks, and it just keeps percolating.
Because there's a vibe of the people of Detroit. I mean, I used to go down to Hamtramck with this beautiful girl. She'd take me down there, and I mean, there was a whole Polish community. There was such a personality and a vibe there, and it's all over Detroit. It's very soulful and very strong personality, really grounded, rooted, earthy, and so there's a lot of soul. That's it, a lot of soul in Detroit. And a lot of different types of souls. It's genuine, man. It's real. That's why that so much great music has come out of there.
Yeah, and of course, how many records have you played with Bob Seger on?
I think I played on Mate. I'm looking at one right now. It's on my wall. I think it's The Fire Inside. I think I did three. I touched on 3 records of his, 3 different records, and I did one tour in '96. And then I played with him on Fogerty's duet record.
Oh yeah,
it was so cool, man. I mean, what an iconic position I could be in. I'm sitting there looking at Bob Seger and John Fogerty facing each other, and they're right in front of me, and I'm going, oh my God. And then Bob looks at me and goes, what do you think of that tempo? I'm like, huh? You're asking me? You're Bob Seger. And then Bob liked everything kind of like in the pocket, really like the way he likes things, groovy. And John likes everything on the top. And so I went, and John was cool, man. He's like, he's referring to Bob Seger because, he's the guest, and they're doing this great thing, and they're playing, and then eventually John sees me in the hallway and goes, hey, Kenny, and he smiles at me, he goes, maybe you should play a little bit on top of the beat for a couple of takes. I was like, wow. I mean, I'm sitting there going, oh, my God. Both of them, I want to serve both of them at the maximum, level. And, but I mean, what do you do? I'm thinking, well, I was catering to Bob, but John is my boss now, and it's his record, so okay, I'll play a little bit on top of the beat.
Now, Elto Reed's a friend of mine. I've met Bob Seger a bunch of times. A nicer guy you're not going to find. I mean, that guy's like...
Oh, Jesus, no, that's incredible. That's one of the greatest shows I ever was on because... he is such a nice guy. Yeah,
he's just a super guy. One of my other friends is a session drummer, Tony Miranda. Do you know him?
Well, that sounds familiar. Does he live up there?
No, he lives in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. He does a lot of the TV shows on NBC and whatnot. And he's done some other stuff here and there. So.
Yeah, that name's familiar. Different circles, so
yeah. He's one of these guys that I told Chad Smith this one time from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's also from Detroit, and I said, yeah, my friend Tony says, he goes, yeah. Well, actually, he didn't say he can do a one-handed drum roll with both hands, and Chad Smith goes, he looks at me, he points at me, he goes, I hate those kind of guys.
Oh my God.
So you are friends with Chad Smith. You filled in for him a few times when he had to go do some Chili Peppers gigs with the guys from the Chicken Foot. That's right.
I did the whole Chicken Foot tour, and Chad was the one that said to Sammy, "This is the guy you want to hire. He's a good replacement for me." And then Sammy called me up, and the cool thing about Sammy was like, man, it's going to be hard to replace Chad. I get along with him. He's so cool and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, Chad and I both hit hard. Chad and I both like to play funky. We both like to rock. The only thing is he's way funnier than me, but I'm way better looking. So I said, it's kind of a tie. I said, but the cool thing was Sammy said, well, he's like, I want to make sure that I don't need the money, so I want to have a good time. So I said, why don't we hook up and hang out? And that's what I did. And I credit to Sammy, man. He gets it. He understands. It is about vibe. It is about teamwork. It's about getting along. And then you're only on stage for like 90 minutes. The rest of the time you're hanging out.
Right.
So it worked out. And then the coolest thing was Chad had a day off, and he was in New York, and he flew to Boston, and we were playing in Boston. I did the show, and he did the encore.
Oh, really?
The audience flipped out when he walked out. It was great.
Now, speaking of Boston, you're from that area, and have you ever seen the Godsmack guys do that drum off they do in the middle of their set?
No, but that makes sense because what's his name? Sully was a drummer first.
Right, and then Shannon. Yeah, you should Google it. It's all over YouTube. It's only about 8 minutes long. It's kind of neat. But I was at Rock on the Range about 3 weeks ago, and I saw Korn play. I'd never seen Ray Lazier play before, and I gotta admit, I was like, I just gravitated to him. He was mesmerizing watching him play.
Yeah, he's great, man. No shit.
Have you seen? What was the last time you saw a drummer where you're like, oh, this guy's really good?
Oh, a lot of them. I mean, just go on YouTube. They're all over the place. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, that night I was at Rock's house. He played me the drummer from Machine Gun Kelly, some kid, and I was like blown away by this kid.
Wow.
So
I haven't heard that guy.
He's a guy from Ohio. So.
Oh wow, Machine Gun Kelly. I'm going to write that down. I know the band name. Are you going to be seeing Kid Rock soon? You got to tell him I say hi.
For sure.
I'll text him when I get off the phone.
Hey, tell me about like doing session work versus live stuff. What do you prefer?
Well, I mean, people ask me all the time because I have a very full career of live and obviously a very full career doing sessions, and there aren't a lot of people that have both. So I'm very fortunate. But if I had to make a choice, I'd pick live over sessions, but the sessions are so important to me. I hate to have to make that choice, but so I won't. I will. I did. I have to. If I have to, I'll say live, because live is not. You have you have the audience interaction with you, and that's what it's all about. So
now I've heard you say before that Sting and Jeff Beck would be some guys you'd like to play with, but if you could play with any band that's already like in existence or a band that's not even in existence anymore, who would you pick?
Wait a minute, where are you getting this information? Did you hear my interview this morning or something?
I did.
My God,
I have to do my research, man.
You're great, man. I'm like, whoa, guys, these are lit. Are you in my office here somewhere? No, you're right. That would be my idea to go on tour as a trio with Jeff Beck and Sting. But bands, I'd love to be in Queens of Stone Age, Foo Fighters, Muse. It's always the bands I love their music. Zeppelin and Hendrix would be fun. Bring Jimmy back. I'd be his drummer.
Yeah.
Those bands.
And I guess the Beatles.
Of course, the Beatles. Right. The Beatles and Stones, too. I mean, I got to play with the Stones, record, but I wasn't playing drums, obviously. They had that other guy.
Yeah, whatever his name is. Right, exactly. Yeah, I just watched that 50th anniversary thing about how they recorded Sgt. Pepper's. Did you happen to see that?
Not yet. Not that one.
Yeah,
I saw 8 days a week. Ron Howard's 8 days a week.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. This Beatles thing, the Sgt. Pepper's one, was on PBS, and it was around the 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper's, and it's so hard to imagine they only had 4 tracks to work with.
I know, is that ridiculous?
Man.
That's insane. That means you really have to, when you're recording, because for those who don't know what that means, that you're recording on 3 tracks, then you take everything on 3 tracks, you bounce it. You're basically making a mix of those 3 things, getting the blend just right, and recording those 3 tracks over to 1. Now you got 1 track taking. Now you have 3 tracks open, and if you can do some more bouncing, you have to then record on 2 tracks, and then you bounce the 3rd track and those 2 tracks over to the 4th track, and you keep getting. But the point is, every time you bounce, you lose a little bit of frequency quality. So when you all along the way, you have to be very aware of where it's going to end up. That's genius.
Yeah, when I first got into business, we only had a 4-track or 8-track or something like that. And yeah, you would lose generation. You know, it would be like you can't do too much of it. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is great.
Hey, a couple final things here for you, Kenny, and we'll cut you loose. A lot of deaths recently in rock and roll. I know you had a picture on your Twitter page with Greg Allman and stuff. Did you play with any of these guys? I know Chris Cornell. You probably never played with before, had you?
Yeah, I played with Chris Cornell at the Kennedy Center Honors.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I still have his phone number in my iPhone. Yeah, I knew Chris. He was a sweetheart, and that was sad, man. That was so unnecessary. And Greg Allman, well, I got to play with him twice. He was sweet. He loved my playing, and yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. But there's been a lot of deaths. I mean, they're getting up there. That's one thing, but also, in our business, the people, definitely partied a little bit too hard, maybe, at times.
Yeah, no question. Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, you're looking forward to checking out the movie coming up on June 29th. It's placed in 400 theaters, and I'm definitely going to be sitting in one of those theaters checking this out. The trailer looks awesome, and the story of you playing on Jack and Diane is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's a lot of people, including myself, that did like 5-6 hours of footage, and a lot got taken out, and a lot of people's interviews got taken out. And the defense for the producer and the director, Franz Schrein, I mean, he did a really good job. It's tough, when you're making a documentary. And I was sitting with like the president of Kodak Film, and he said this is an amazing documentary, meaning it was well done. There's humor. It's serious, it's factual, but sometimes when you do that, you can't put certain things in because it's not working. And it's really done well, And then with my documentary and possibly the next one they're going to make, it'll get into those specifics a little bit more.
That's cool. Yeah, a lot of people, they don't think about the hired gun behind the big singers. You know what I'm saying? This kind of gives you guys a little bit of exposure, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, well,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll see you on the big screen on June 29th, of course, at Callahan's in Auburn Hills coming up on July 13th. You guys, by the way, just played with Johnny Lang in Russia, and Putin was in the house. Are you under any sort of Russian collusion investigation or anything now, or what?
Spasiba. I cannot tell. I kill you, or I get killed for speaking. Of course I am. I'm totally in cahoots with the Russian. Listen, my grandparents came from Russia. But I'm not spying. I'm not a spy. Never mind. No, I'm all good.
Yeah, keep it right there.
I am an American, but I love Russia. But I'm always glad I get out alive.
There you go.
Wayne once asked me, I was playing this drum clinic. 1,000 people show up for a drum clinic in this big hall. And when I get done with sound check, I've had an hour of sleep from flying from wherever I was flying, from Germany. And they said, do you mind doing an interview? I go do an interview. There's 25 people in there. Got about 25 mics. It looked like I was doing a big, huge summit conference, speech or something. And the first guy goes, big beard, big Russian guy goes, "Oh, Kenny Aronoff. You have a Russian name, Aronoff. That's a Russian name. How does your Russian heritage make you such a good American drummer?" And I sat there silent. I was going, okay. All right, what I really think is in the subtitle going on across my chest, which is like, hey, motherfucker, you kicked my grandparents out of Russia, and I don't know if I like that so much. And what I said to him was, but of course, my Russian heritage makes me the greatest American drummer. And it's so good to be here, and I'm going to be glad that I can get out with, alive.
That was the first question they asked you? Oh, my God.
That was the first question. He was trying to take credit. It was funny, though. I'm so glad he asked me that because now I can tell that story. It was humorous to think that, oh, my God. You know what? That's pretty egotistical to think that, wow, if it wasn't because of my Russian blood, I'd suck on drums.
Or you'd suck at you'd be a terrible American or a better, whichever way it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, am I allowed to swear on this show? I swore just then.
You're good, man. You're good. Hey, I just want to thank you, by the way, for I'm one of your 145,000 people you follow on Twitter, so I'm sure you see my tweets every single day, right?
Oh, yeah. That's 170. It's 172 now. Yeah. I got time to look at 172,000 tweets.
Yeah, there you go. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate the time. Make sure to give Kid Rock our best. I actually texted him earlier today and said I was going to be talking with you, and he speaks so highly of you, and so do all the musicians. Cool. I mean, it's just it's a no-brainer. So we'll see you here in Detroit on July 13th. I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah, now I just realized I'm going to have Kid Rock and Bob Seger be the singers in my band.
That night, awesome. There you go.
No, not tonight. All right, take care. See you, buddy. I'll see you in July. There it is, that big drum fill that made Kenny Aronoff a household name. Or at least a household sound. There you go. Kenny's one of those guys I could talk to for hours, man. I'm sure his stories just trump everyone's. He's played with everybody. I mean, what hasn't he done? There's not much he hasn't done in his illustrious career. So got to thank him for taking the time to talk to me. Looking forward to checking him out July 13th at Callahan's in the Detroit area up there in Lake Orion. So can hardly wait for that. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for checking out the Radio Chatter podcast. By all means, if you like this conversation, share it. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a review. And as always, follow me on Twitter at Meltdown WRIF, which is my Facebook, and I think WRIF Meltdown, my Instagram and whatnot. And if you're in the Detroit area, make sure you check out my show between 3 and 7, Monday through Friday, or worldwide at WRIF.com. That was fun. That's going to be hard to top next time, but we'll try on the next edition of Radio Chatter.
Doing best they can.